face-to-face meeting with Zelensky. Do you still want them to go first before the U.S. gets involved and talks?
Well, I don't mind. I mean, it's let them deal. I'm the one that got him to this position. And I think that's going to get worked out.
For the first time since Russia's full-scale invasion began, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelenskyy publicly called on Vladimir Putin to meet face-to-face and discuss a path to ending the war. Putin dismissed this proposal, saying he sees no point in a meeting. Soon after Putin rejected the call for peace, Ukraine launched a massive drone strike deep inside Russia this weekend, hitting Russian Navy assets. For more, let's bring in the Ukrainian ambassador to the United States, Olga Stefanishyna. Ambassador, it's great to see you again.
Hello, Jackie. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for coming back. So I want to ask you about this letter. Obviously, Putin rejected the overture from President Zelenskyy, but there was a line in the letter that stood out to me. Zelenskyy writes, "We see that the United States is fully focused on the issue of Iran, and it would be wrong to simply wait until the war in Europe returns to the center of its attention. Ukraine proposes ending this war through direct engagement between us and you. I am proposing a meeting." Does Ukraine believe right now that it's at risk of losing U.S. support?
Well, basically, I have to say that even since the beginning of the operation in Iran, we have not faced any significant disruption in terms of everything we do, where we cooperate with European allies in terms of military purchase and delivery of a military support financed by Europe. So I think this is very important. It could have been really different, but I think it really shows that Ukraine has been on focus. But speaking about the diplomatic efforts, clearly the existing format is being tested. It has been efficient in terms of prisoners exchanges, some minor like discussion on the basic needs and the basic priorities, but we are far from any end of diplomatic solution. And I think for my president, as somebody who deeply respects the leadership of President Trump and everything we are able to get from the United States, it's a offer of real action, of something we can do to make a step forward to address the Russian leader and see nothing different but the rhetorics on the other side.
The president said this week that he helped create the conditions for the proposed direct talks, but we haven't seen these negotiations really move in quite some time. What do you attribute that to? And do you believe that the U.S. role has actually brought Russia to the table at all?
Well, it did. So let's not forget that the trilateral format has been established, and frankly speaking, by the assessment of Ukrainian side, it was the first time when the Russian delegation has been represented by real people who can really negotiate and speak, and these are the representatives like of the military hierarchy, which is the hierarchy Putin relies on largely for like all the years he's in power. So I think it has brought three sides to the table. And also the other thing is that there is actually an understanding at this level where we stand, and American government is able to hear countless manipulations from the Russian side, and basically inability to have progress on diplomatic line is clearly where the blame is to be put on the aggressor. Whereas, even this letter from my president shows that actually we're committed to resolution, but we're not lagging behind while the war is still raging on. We're scaling up our capacity to defend ourselves.
Yeah, and I meant to phrase it in a way that I apologize for the perception, because what I was saying basically is there's all this evidence that Russia is not negotiating in good faith, despite all of the efforts of the U.S. government, and questioning, if it's doing enough. Has what it's done already made a difference? But General Jack Keane described this moment as a very big one for Ukraine. I want to get your thoughts on this.
There's been a major turnaround in the war. Russia has started their spring and summer offensive, and it has failed miserably. They are losing more territory than they have the ability to take, and that means that Ukraine is on the offense and is retaking territory. For the first time ever, Putin cannot replace the number of casualties he's taken. In other words, he's taken more casualties than he has people to replace them. And obviously that's diminishing returns. And he's in a bind. And economically, he's hurting.
So Zelenskyy's letter sounded like it was also aimed at Russians who might be getting tired of this war. In Ukraine, are you seeing evidence that pressure is building inside of Russia, and this is a moment right now to seize?
What we can say is the Russian people were never vulnerable when it came to the way of life and the social standards. This is, the suffering is the normality of a regular Russian person, and the more suffering is there, it's absolutely fine. But I think there are some growing amount of restrictions and the needs to feed the war and the Russian aggression further, which become really tangible. Like, for example, through the Second World War, not a single bomb failed or attacked the Ural part of Russia, but now the deep strike attacks really get there. Mm-hmm. And the first time, in a couple of centuries, this part of Russia is affected by the aggression. It is it has direct implications for the people in this area. So yes, it is, and General King is absolutely correct in all of his assessment. But also, let's not forget that Russia is still able to cooperate with North Korea, with China. It has been working with Iran, scaling its military capacity. And over the last week, we have more than 1,800 bombs falling throughout the territory of Ukraine. Mm-hmm. Although the front line is strong, our defense innovation is being developed, but we're still not able to secure all Ukrainian skies. And that's why Russians are able to kill more Ukrainian people every day.
Mm. Well, the pressure on the countries, the nation states that are helping Russia seems to be ramping up. So we'll see where that goes. Thank you so much, Ambassador, for coming on. Really appreciate it. Good to see you. Thank you.
Jack.
Thanks.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.